So, good day, everyone. Our previous reporters have already discussed about the route of Christopher Columbus in his discovery of the Americas in the map, and followed by the timeline of the Spanish conquest of Mexico and other American nations. So, now what I am going to discuss to you is all about the expansion of Spanish and Portuguese territories in the New World. So, the question is, why did Spain want to explore the New World? So, Spain wanted to explore the New World first is to find a trade route to India as the Portuguese had. Then, when they found Amerindians, they wanted to colonize and convert them, as well as have access to the gold. So we all know that in this new world is there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of minerals such as gold, silver. So that is why um, Spain want to colonize this particular continent or area, since there's a lot of uh, access when it comes to mineral resources that they might be used in different aspect of living. So why did the Portuguese establish a trading post empire? So the Portuguese established a European trading post empire to capitalize on their superior navigation skills and tap into existing African trade routes. The system also allowed them to protect their imports as they traveled back to Portugal. So, what did the Spanish bring to the Americas? So, the Spanish brought Western ideals to the Americas, including economic and religious systems. So, that is the great contribution of Spanish to the American people, wherein they are going to uh, to improve the economic sectors and religious system of Americas. However, they also brought disease and existing conflicts between European nations. So not just about economic sector, they are not just Spain brought economic sector and religious systems, but they are also the result of the disease and existing conflicts between European nations. So, what are the reasons? What are maybe the reasons why the Spanish came to the New World? So, the Spanish came to the New World first to have a Far East trading link. They stayed because the wealth found in the region. So, from this context, we identify, we recognize that this new world has a great and uh, big when it comes to resources and uh, wealth found in this region. So finally, they also decide to build an empire and spread Catholicism. So they are not just about looking for natural resources. They are not just about looking to wealth of regions, but they are also desired, or they has a desire to build an empire wherein they are going to contribute of what are the development for a specific place. So that is why they spread Catholicism. They brought religion system. So they, in order for every individual to connect with in comes to the supreme power, which is God. So that is why they are not just mind on wealth, but they are also building an empire or leadership, wherein helps them to enhance their cultures, something like that. And as Western Europe transition from the regional divides of the Middle Ages to stronger centralized countries, kings and queens look for ways of expanding their spheres of influence and world outlooks. So that is the perception, or that is the goal of uh, Western Europe, the Spaniards, wherein uh, they are going to make their spheres, their group or leadership into more effective, into more productive when it comes to the influences of one world outlooks. So, although traditional warfare continued to be a major tool for political control, European countries also grew concerned with gaining economic superiority over their neighbors, their man their main tool being international trade. So uh, it is one of also of the major reason why the Eastern Europe divided divides of the Middle Ages into stronger centralized, so that they are going to maintain and uh, improve the economic growth in a particular area. So now we are going to know what are the motives for these Europeans or Spaniards. Why do they are having an exploration? So the fifth and sixth centuries have often been labeled the age of exploration, discovery, and expansion. Indeed, the Renaissance world was looking outward. People were curious, interested, and eager for fresh experiences and observations. They were looking for something new and different, and they were ready to push beyond Europe to find it. So this is also the motivations for exploration, wherein because of curiosity, because they are interested in, uh, because they want to feel another experiences, because they want to see something new, they want to see something different. That is why they have they are motivated to explore something, especially when it comes in this new world. So that is their motivations, why they having such explorations of a particular area. So the world was opening up, and people were realizing how big it really was. So beyond the explorations, there's a lot of things that they have gathered nga mas nindot di ay uh, in that particular area, with when it comes to economic growth, when it comes to the natural resources. So that's it. So there were new places to explore, room to spread out, and cultures and economies to discover and even control. So they are not just relied on economic sector, but they are also want to experience about the cultures and economies of a particular place. So they are trying to understand of what are the cultures of every individual around the world. So it's not just about uh, spreading religious system, spreading the uh, for the development of economic growth, but they are also uh, have an interest to control a certain place. So European countries started to think about forming empires, spreading Christianity, and ruling the world. So this is what I have said it a while ago that European started to think about empires. So ito na yung simula ng pagtataguyod at paggawa ng kanilang ah, kaharian, kung paano nila buuin yung sarili nilang mundo para sa lalong-lalo na sa pagsakop sa isang lugar. They are just spreading Christianity as well, and ginusto nila at gustuhin nila na sila na naman ang mamuno sa isang natatanging lugar na kung saan ito ay tinatawag na New World. So that is the motive for explorations of European countries. So perhaps the key motivator behind exploration in this era was economic. So economic is a great motivator of European countries, why do European peoples tend to explore in a different place. So Europeans long for the luxuries of the Far East, including silks, pepper, and spices. But the Far East trade was dominated by Muslims and Venetians who hauled the goods overland. So that is why they are going to they have a motivation to explore another place, another world, new world. It's because especially in the Far East, there's a lot of shells, pepper and spices. So these shells, pepper and spices has a great impact in daily living since it's part of in order for every individual to survive. It is used as a daily uses for every individual. So but the first Far East trade was dominated by Muslims and Venetians who hold the goods overland, making them extremely expensive. So this is also the factors why do these products or luxuries are expensive. It's because they are dominated by Muslims and Venetians. So Europeans wanted to find their own trade routes and cut out the middlemen. So that is why, because of these expensive products, that is why they are going to find ways of and find route of uh, kung saan sila maaring makikipagkalakalan at makikipagsundo lalong-lalo na sa iba't ibang lugar sa mundo. So, Europeans wanted to find their own trade routes and cut out the middlemen. And with their better ships, maps, and navigational tools, they finally had the technology to do it. So, uh, it because they have some tools that they might be used for navigation. So, finally, they are going to explore easily in a particular area wherein they are going to brought the influence or the leadership or systems in a particular place. So the time was ripe to explore, discover, and expand. So in every place they are going to that they have it found, they are going to explore through or discover for the expansion of their colonized. So now let's proceed to the expanding Spanish Empire. So Christopher Columbus incorrectly believed he had found India when he landed at San Salvador in the Bahamas in 1942. So Columbus' reports about the many people already living in the New World prompted Queen Isabel to consider them under her protection as member of the Spanish Empire, promising to bring them to the Catholic faith and wanting them to be fairly treated. So this is what they are going. They I need to consider if in the new world we're in, it should be that they are going to make a promise that they are going to to bring the Catholic systems, Catholic faith that and wanting to them to be fairly treated, to be treated them equally. So that is those are the things that they need to consider when they are going to live in the new world. So Columbus' discoveries also shifted the reasons behind Spanish exploration from trade to empire building and exploration. So the realization that the Amerindians in New Spain had large quantities of gold made mining the primary aim of many who came to the New World. So the natives quickly became the book of the workforce and were horribly abused despite Isabel's orders to the contrary. So after taking Cuba in 1511, the Spanish continued traveling further into the territory with this conquistador, Hernan Cortes. So Hernan Cortes is an conquistador wherein attacking the Aztec Empire in 1519. So taking the capital of Tenochtitlan in 1521. So in this instance, Cortes or Hernan Cortes actually operated without approval from the Spanish crown of the governor of the Cuban colony because he desired chance to make his own name and wealth without the credit going to his superiors. So, si Hernan Cortes ay gumagawa ng isang uh, gawain na kung saan ang kanyang intensyon ay para lamang mas magiging makapangyarihan ang kanyang pangalan na they're making some actions or they are going to act something like without having permission to their superiors. So he received help from the neighboring cities terrorized by the Aztec Empire who periodically collected people from them to offer sacrifices to the gods in many elaborate rituals, outstripping nearby empires in their zeal. So 10 years later, Francisco Pizarro traveled to Peru, where he subsequently conquered the Incan Empire situated in the Andes Mountains. So although this conquest took over 30 years to accomplish, Pizarro began his work by capturing the Incan king and holding him for ransom, the astronomical amount of which flooded the Spanish coffers and made empire building more lucrative than it had ever been. So, certainly, here are some information about the expansion of Spanish and Portuguese in the New World. So, we have the exploration for this. It is for Spanish expansion. We have the exploration and colonization. So after Columbus' voyage, other Spanish explorers like Amerigo Vespucci, Hernando de Soto, and Francisco Coronado ventured into various parts of the Americas. These explorations led to the establishment of numerous Spanish colonies and territories throughout the 16th century. So, beyond these colonizations, by the help of uh, explorers and their uh, constituents, there's a lot of uh, Spanish colonies and territories throughout the 16th century. So the next is the religious influence. So Spanish bring religious system, Catholic faith in different areas. So that is also the great contribution of Spain's Spain colony. So that is the religious influence. The Spaniards and European countries brings religious systems in different area. So alongside the Spanish crown's economic and territorial interests, the Catholic Church played a significant role in the New World. So this is the advantages of the uh, colonization of Spain, wherein it brings uh, good intention since the Catholic Church was born and played a significant role in the New World. So there is a contribution of uh, understanding how the supreme powers create a great impact to every individual. So Spanish missionaries such as the Franciscan, Dominicans, and Jesuits arrived to convert indigenous populations to Christianity. So this is the great impact in religious influence. They are going uh, to have a missionaries wherein help them to evangelize people such as Franciscans, Dominicans, and other uh, other groups of people wherein they're going to convert every indigenous peoples into Christianity, wherein uh, it believes to God. So the fusion of Catholicism with indigenous beliefs gave rise to a unique form of religious syncretism in many areas. So the next Spanish expansion is the mining and economic activities. So the Spanish Empire became incredibly wealthy due to the extraction of precious metals like gold and silver from mines in regions such as Mexico and Peru. So this is also the great uh, expansion where Spanish made. It's about economic activities. They are going to find minerals or natural resources wherein they are going to use for manufacturers or any aspect for help for the economic growth of a particular place or a particular country. So the silver mines at Potosi or in modern day Bolivia and the gold mines in Mexico were especially famous and contributed to Spain's economic dominance in Europe during this period. So there's a great contribution of these metals such gold, silvers. So it helped them a lot for for producing uh economic sector in for individual in a particular area. So the another uh expansion of Spanish is the impact on indigenous peoples. So the Spanish colonization led to the decline of indigenous populations due to disease brought by Europeans, forced labor, and conflicts. So this is also the disadvantages or negative impact of expanding the the European countries wherein they are the reason of why this disease and this conflicts occurs. So however, it also led to a mingling of cultures known as mestizaje where Spanish and indigenous traditions, languages, and customs mix. So this is also the negative impact of expanding, especially when it comes to the indigenous people, wherein there is a mix of traditions. Kay, since Spaniards, there's a lot of cultures and traditions. So when they brought it in a particular place, particular country, so this will be the reason of uh, influence by them when it comes to the languages, behaviors, traditions. So that's it. So now we are going to proceed to the Portuguese expansion. So the first one is Brazil, wherein Portugal's primary focus in the New World was Brazil. So this is the focus of uh, Portugal or Portuguese in the New World is the country of Brazil, wherein the Portuguese began colonization efforts there in the early 16th century, initially driven by the extraction of Brazil wood, a valuable red dye, and later Brazil became a significant source of sugar production. Portuguese settlers established large plantations, and the labor force was initially made up of indigenous people, but later predominantly of enslaved Africans. So this is also the great contributions of Portuguese expansion in the country of Brazil, wherein there's a lot of uh, plants wherein they might be used for also for the economic growth of Brazil. That is during the 16th century. So the next is the trade and navigation. So Portugal navigators and explorers such as Bartolome Diaz and Ferdinand Magellan, although he sailed under the Spanish flag, played key roles in expanding maritime trade routes. Portugal established a global network of trading posts and colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Indian Ocean, known as the Portuguese Empire. So that is another uh, Portuguese expansion is the trade and navigation. So the next is the colonial administration, wherein Portuguese colonies were characterized by a system of captaincies and later governorates. Portuguese explorers like Pedro Alvarez Cabral claimed large territories in Brazil, which was later divided into hereditary captaincies. So the next is the cultural exchange. So Portuguese colonization influenced the cultures of Brazil, particularly through language. Portuguese became the official language, and religion or Catholicism, and food or the introduction of crops like cassava and sugarcane. So this is the positive impact of Portuguese expansion, wherein they are going to stabilize and uh, make a focus when it comes to the economic sector of Brazil, since they are going uh, to control the cultures, and they brought religion systems like Catholicism and also the language. That is why in Brazil, they are their official language is the Portuguese. So they are also the reason of foods production, like starting production of cassava and sugarcane. So that is the common crops uh, brought by this Portuguese expansion. So in summary, the Spanish and Portuguese expansion into the New World had profound impact on the regions they colonized, shaping the demographics, economies, cultures, and societies of the Americas and other parts of the world. So, because of this expansion in the new world, there's a lot of changes when it comes to the regions, when it comes to the demographics, when it comes to the economies, when it comes to the cultures and societies of the Americas and other parts of the world. So that is the a great changes. There's a great uh, effects of uh, Portuguese and Spanish expansion in this new world. So the legacies of colonization, both positive and negative, continue to influence these regions today. So uh, within the colonization, within the expansion, there's a lot of negative impact they have contributed in a particular place. But we need also to understand that are there are also a lot of uh, positive impact or the advantages of the colonization of these countries. They bring both positive and negative in nurturing and uh, enhancing the the leadership of a particular regions, or it because of the influence of these colonizers. There's a great changes when especially as what I've said a while ago. It's all about demographics, economies, and cultures. So that is the great contributions also of both Spanish and Portuguese, especially in expanding a certain territory or uh, country. So that's all about my report. I hope you learned a lot from it.